What's up, family and friends? It is that time again. Yes, it is the one and only Astralboobaby, and I got quite a few things I want to touch on today. For starters, I know that many of you are fully aware of the calibration chart that I had shared about a year ago, and every now and then I would use that chart in conjunction to charts that I've created myself to kind of get an idea of where we are in terms of a collective consciousness and how many of us are fully awakened. Now, as we look around, you would literally have to be in serious denial or just totally out of touch with the real reality to not see and feel that something monumental is happening. And this is partly because so many of us are waking up. We had people who are holding a calibration level that would allow us to be anchors for energies that is so powerful and so transformative that right now, globally speaking, there are approximately just a little over 900 people who hold this calibration level. And I'm talking about a 1,000 calibration level. These are people who truly embody and match these frequencies to a point where they know on all levels that we are all one. And because of this is allowing these energies to permeate every fabric of this reality and ultimately affecting hundreds of millions of others. And when this occurs, people start looking at this paradigm very, very differently. And I am so thankful that my life has been unfolding in a way where I've been allowed to interact with people of all races, economic backgrounds, political affiliation, people of all walks of life. And never ever have I seen across the board so many people discontent with their jobs, the status quo, their religious community, or what they were raised up to believe in. All the things that, we have been conditioned since birth. These people are questioning, are walking away, are rejecting, and is thus searching and eating better, doing better, looking for better ways to become a better person. And I'm so pleased and honored to be a vessel, a vehicle to bring forth this information. I receive emails from people from all walks of life, and the sentiment and the questions are generally the same. The political, economic, racial, social divide is falling apart. We are now seeing the commonality in everyone. And we are now beginning to see that the enemy, or what we like to term as the enemy, was never really these boxes and paradigms that we've been conditioned to believe. We're starting to go within and looking at who those elements and what those elements were or are that are preventing us from truly becoming self-realized. And again, it's an amazing, amazing time to be alive. So do not fear. The old paradigm must fall apart. Ironically enough, I had a dream this morning. I'm just going to briefly talk about it because, I had like 5 different dreams. I was all over the place. And the last dream that I had before becoming focused in this reality, I don't like to say when I wake up, but when I become focused in this reality, or just before I became focused in this reality, the dream was myself and members of my family. We were on a beach. It was a bright sunny day. Then all of a sudden, we see these people who are on these jet engines that could soar high in the sky. They just started falling and crashing down. And right behind them, the clouds start falling down. The sky start falling down. Next thing I know, the whole ground is filled with snow and ice. And many of the people who were on that beach with us disappeared, but the only 2 people three people were left, was my baby nephew and a family member, and we were literally leaping without much effort at all over these mounds of snow and ice to save people, to get those that we could see out of harm's way. And when we got out of harm's way, we turn around and we look and see that within this particular paradigm was a massive, like the equivalent of a massive movie set. So what this was showing me, or what my higher self was showing me, again, is in a different way, that the old paradigm, the smoke and mirrors, is falling apart. Those of us who want to cling and ride high, artificially ride high, that's what the jets, the technology flying high was symbolic of. Artificially flying high in the old paradigm will have the most difficult time and will crash and hit the ground the hardest. So, those of us who are most resistant to these energies, and this is bigger than all of us, way, way, way bigger than all of us. I'm just one of many who's coming forth to remind and awaken as many people as possible of this, so that we can begin working on the self, conquering the ego, slaying the ego, getting beyond, form. And that's the gist of my video, by the way. I'm going to get back to that. Getting beyond form, economic class, gender, sexual orientation, all of those things have been wedge issues, smoke and mirrors that has been used to keep us divided, to keep us in ego, to prevent us and stop us from seeing the bigger picture and feeling and connecting to what is really, really going on. Those of us who are most resistant we'll have the hardest time, and these energies are so powerful that they are forcing us to deal. If we still resist, what will happen is we will either be taken off the planet, or we will have to leave and go to a realm that supports the frequency or vibratory range that we are on. That's the nature of reality. Now, when I talk about the nature of reality, I cannot speak of this without reminding us that nothing is really physical. Physicality is a matter of perspective. For instance, in third density, I like to use the analogy of water. When we freeze water, it becomes ice. Is that ice really solid? No, for that moment it is. But what happens, we leave it out and not keep it in this environment to keep the form together. It melts, or it vaporizes, becomes mist, or whatever the case may be, depending on the environment that it's in. Right now, third density, which we are ultimately moving into fourth, third density is the equivalent of ice reality. Okay? Ice will be solid to ice. When ice is put into a warmer climate, which will be the equivalent of a faster vibrating environment, it melts and becomes more fluid. Ice is not solid to water. Water is not solid to mist or vapor. We are currently in an ice, or the equivalent of an ice reality. Everything feels hard and solid. Within that reality, everything appears to be physical or solid. And what is happening is we are in a phase where we are melting and becoming more fluid and flexible. Let's say we are becoming slush. The fourth dimension, or the fourth density will be the equivalent of, let's say, slush. So this, you can bend more, and then ultimately the fifth dimension will be the equivalent of a little of both, where within that reality, we can interchangeably, we can use these perspectives more interchangeably. Now, ice, what is ice? Ice is molecules literally slowly vibrating to a point of complete stillness within its frame or paradigm. And within that paradigm, everything is physical and real, and we can interact with. Now, when ice is completely melted, or when it becomes water, in that paradigm, you have a much warmer or faster vibrating reality. And within that reality or paradigm, everything would appear to be physical. The same is true with mist or vapor or fog. Within those paradigms, It's more fluid, and if we are within the vapor, within that vibratory paradigm, everything would appear physical, just as solid as it was, but only more fluid, as it were, when we or as we are in third density. Now, I really struggle with how can I explain these things without making it sound too complex. And I often use analogies that we're all familiar with. Now, how do I know these things? Because I've experienced them. I've seen them. I've retained the memory. I know that we are multidimensional because this has been my reality. I know that, and most of us know that we are mostly water. Okay? We are mostly water. We're also organic light, dense organic light. Light, same thing. Some light projects stronger than others. Organic light is the most powerful light of them all. So when you have a being who is water, light, organic light, you have elements that is infinite. It's eternal. And we are consciousness merging and focusing within these different paradigms. So coming back to what my original point was, is that this paradigm is falling apart. It must fall apart. Do not be afraid. 2012 is here. And quite frankly, it has been revealed to me and shown to me that I must get away from focusing and speaking about 2012, because 2012 has been here for some time now. We're just seeing the acceleration of all of the byproducts of what this timeline actually mean and what it is all about. And as the months and days continue on, we will see an acceleration, more of what we are seeing now. Global upheaval, global awakening, people uniting across divides. Do not get caught up on people who try to focus on these compartmentalized paradigms, because that is elements of those of us who want to fight and keep things the way they were, or to disrupt or slow down. Now, one of the things I will say is that there are some of us who have been successful with slowing us down. I have been slowed down to a degree, but we cannot be stopped. So as the old saying goes, resistance is futile. We are waking up in every single facet of society. There are dormant cells right now who are in some of different ranks of the government, the highest levels of what we have been conditioned to perceive to be the highest level of intelligence on this planet. We are there too, and they are waking up. There's resistance and warring within every single facet of society, and it is all to usher in this new paradigm. And again, those of us who cannot or will not or refuse to adjust or do the work that's needed to be done to get our vibration to match these accelerated states of consciousness and beingness, we will ultimately be removed, or we will literally fall off or die off and go to a realm that suits our evolutionary vibratory rate. It's that simple. I hope I have not confused you guys with that. Now, one of the things that I talked about earlier in this vlog is form, to not get caught up in form. Now, my last video was a compilation of some of my art. There's more going on in those images. And as I said before, I would like to use the art and works of other people to convey the same kind of message, but I just don't want to deal with all the legalities, and and I'm not giving YouTube any reasons to, or any kind of justification to shut down my channel. Okay, so I often use my own likeness, my own artwork, to convey, to speak to you on a subconscious level, to communicate certain frequencies to you, be it through my art, my work, and my drawing. Now, the drawings of the entities that I have seen along the way, for the most part, I've shown you those expressions that do not resemble or does not fit into what we have been conditioned to believe as a possible reality or a possibility or a real possibility. Now, many times when we talk about divine beings, we usually imagine them looking exactly like us, just beautiful rays and looking beautiful and emitting all this love. And that's not to say that there are not genuine, authentic expressions who come across in this way. But let me ask a rhetorical question. If such a being were to come before you, emitting love and looking beautiful and saying that they are, let's say, a Messiah or someone that you believe in, how do you really know they are who they say they are if you're not connected to all of your senses beyond the five? How do you really know if you're not connected to your highest self focus point? How do you really know? And how do you know that a being who present themselves in a way that would appear to be strange, ugly, or unattractive, or even scary to you, how do you know that this is an evil being? I'm asking this rhetorical question because, a few people have written me over the past 2 years and have told me, Astralboo, you're messing with demons and that's the demonic realm and da 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 da. And I would always ask them, why would you say that? What is that based off of? Right now, all you have is a depiction or image. I've never said that any of these beings brought any harm to me. I've never said that not one single being came to me repeatedly to try to push an agenda on me, which none of them had. Most of the beings that I've depicted and shown, I was more in their world. I was just kind of as an observer or just kind of passing through. A couple of them I did actually interact with. And they've never told me anything or never done anything harmful to me. So why would I assume that just because they look strange, or why would anyone assume that just because these beings look strange that they are inherently demonic or evil? Now, the reason why we do this is because thanks to Hollywood, we have been conditioned and the mass media as well, we have been conditioned to judge and trust and believe in what we see rather than going with what we feel first and foremost. This is how humans are so easily deceived. Even a magician can prove and show how easy it is to fool the human perspective when we're looking with these lenses. The reason why I'm constantly putting forth these images and these concepts that will be frightening, and that is frightening to so many people, is because I am injecting a different way of seeing things, so that when that veil completely drops and everyone, and I do mean everyone, will see beings who are within this realm and some in between. I don't want you guys to be in a state of terror and fear. I don't want you guys to misjudge these entities like we do one another. Many of us never stop to think that we are the demons, or we're like demons to other beings. That's why many of them have literally shielded themselves from our perspective, because many of us, and it's sad to say, and thankfully we're waking up, when we see something that we don't understand or that is strange or scary to us, what's the first thing we do? We either want to run and kill it and attack it, or we run the other way out of terror and fear, and having nothing other than what we see to go off of. I am trying to get us to get more into developing the 6th, 7th, 8th senses, 9th, 10th, 11th senses. It's time to start developing those and stop judging a book by its cover. Right here on earth, and quite frankly throughout my life, those who have behave themselves, if I were to say in a demonic way, really truthfully in my circle and in my reality, hasn't been these interdimensional entities. It has been other humans. Now, if you were a higher intelligence observing a species who kill and do some of the things that we have been doing and are still doing to one another, would you openly put yourself out there to interact with this? Think about it. Now, some of these beings, because they observe us, and it's so unfortunate that they know more about us than we know about them, but again, that is changing. But they observe, and many of them have discernment that goes beyond form. To them, I'm sure we look very strange. We're the aliens in their perspective, from their perspective. We're the demons from their perspective. But some of these beings have evolved to a point where they could see beyond the form. Because beyond the form, when it's all said and done, we're all ultimately the same. Just different waveforms and light vibrating at different frequencies, or vibrating on different frequencies. There are beings who can see beyond the form, the illusion, and therefore some of them will interact with us based on our vibratory level. So in other words, we can be cloaked as a human, and a being who may be what we would consider to be an elemental, for instance, will see the energy and feel the resonance from that being, that, hey, this is someone that I can interact with. I'm not uncomfortable with allowing that being to see me. I'm not uncomfortable with sharing knowledge with this being, because I know this being does not have have ill intentions. This is not someone who harbors a lot of hostility and negativity based on form and expression. So many of us have gotten caught up and hemmed up and deceived because we trust what we see. We judge based on appearances and form. And when we do that, we could be letting in a monster and shutting out one of the most beautiful vessels or tools or assistants or friend, whatever the case may be. We could be locking out one of the best things that could help us in our evolution to become more self-realized. Now, I'm not saying these things for you guys to just run out and just open yourself up to any and everything. We should be guarded. We should be very guarded, because yes, there are hostile intelligences within every facet of the omniverse. Absolutely, make no mistake about it. But I want us to get more into learning who they are, not by form, not by expression, but by the vibratory imprint, by being able to read their intentions, being able to see the auric field. Is there a crack? Is there a discoloration around the auric field? And the only way to do that is to evolve and accelerate our vibratory state of beingness. We have to come outside of these fear-mongering, terror-based, judgmental boxes. We have to come out of them. It's just no other way. And again, if we don't want to do that, well, it is our choice to do that as well. But as with everything, there are consequences to everything. Now, I'm not here to generate and stir up fear. I'm just letting you guys know this is the nature of reality. We have to earn our way. There's no one who's going to come and do it for us. I'm sorry. I mean, that's a part of the old paradigm. It's just, it does not work that way. Now, there are those of us who can give us tools and advice on how to go within and do the work and get it for ourselves, but no one is going to genuinely. Now, there are artificial paradigms that exist where Those who we made allegiances with can give us the illusion of the protection or access into the higher realms. But genuine evolution comes from the self, overriding the ego, and discerning with the heart chakra, the true inner self, the higher self, the highest self. Whatever term you want to define it, whatever way you want to define it. Now, many of you guys write me. Now, let me remind you, I receive hundreds of emails every day. I have about 7 different email accounts. And there are times where I just take a break from it all because, I've said before that doing this kind of work is emotionally depleting. Many people write me and seek advice and guidance because they feel a connection to me. They don't have anyone else to talk to. And I understand that. And they feel like I'm someone who will not judge them, which I will not. And believe me, I wish that I can connect with all of you guys on a continuous, concerted way. But because there's so many people writing me and reaching out to me, I cannot do it. I'm only one person. Now, many of you guys within my alternate states, I can make connections with you in that way. It's not as daunting on that aspect of myself versus my physical self. But please be understanding and understand the position that I'm in. As much as I would like to give all of you guys, the hundreds of you who write me every week, the constant, continuous interaction, I simply can't do it. So what I'm doing is I'm sending out canned response to give you guys the tools and techniques to do and find your own truth, to find your own answers, because you do have that within you. I do still respond more on a personal level, but I have to be discerning with that as well, because I'm only one person and it takes a lot of time and energy to do. Some of you guys, you send me emails with, a book worth of stuff to read, and again, I understand that you feel like you don't have anyone else to write to, but realize that it takes a lot of time and energy to read all of that, to pull out all of your questions and to answer them in a way that I like to explain things. And so for those of us that I do write, I'm asking that you please keep your email as short and simple and to the point as possible. And on that note, I would like to say that you are loved beyond measure. Do not let fear, scare tactics, division, or ego-driven people, no matter how intelligent or how knowledgeable they may sound, slow down your evolution or stop or stagnate your evolution. At the end of the day, I am you, you are me, we're everything that we see. Happy travels.